I want to discuss the question of avodah zarah, idolatry, and first I want to do it in let me explain the context. That I was wondering about this for a long time when I was actually in Uman by the Tzion of Rabbi Nachman, and so some of the thoughts that I wanted to bring out about this whole question are that, first of all, in the Torah itself, you find places where God's presence is manifested, at like Mount Sinai and afterwards in the Beit HaMikdash. Rabbi Nachman explains the Beit HaMikdash as being like the place where God's holiness was manifested. But that is godly. Obviously God's presence fills the whole world, is full of His glory. So it's so from a conceptual point of view, it's hard to see why saying that God's presence would be in a certain specific located in a certain area, 3x3 domain, Beis HaMikdash, 2,000 alpine meters that way, 2,000 meters that way, 2,000 meters that way, or 500 that way, etc. Why that would be so much different than locating God inside of an image, or inside of a grave for that matter, say a grave of a tzaddik, that God's presence is somehow contained there. What would be the exact difference between those things? The Bible clearly accepts the idea of God's presence being in certain places. So what's exactly the difference? Well, first of all, the basic difference is, this is the difference I want to bring out, is that there's the idea of an icon, the idea of where God's specifically bringing His presence, the revelation of His presence in a certain place, is not against the Bible. That idea is clearly in the Bible. God reveals Himself over the Kruvim and the Beis HaMikdash, but He only allows those types of He only allows that in a place where He's specified that. In the Torah, it's only specified, you can have God's presence in the Beis HaMikdash, and then and that was and even within that context, you had the Kruvim, the angels on top of the Arna Kodesh, that looked, according to the Chazal, they were formed like young children, meaning to say that even an icon, an image, is not forbidden, but the difference is that exactly that there's no difference except that in one case God has ruled that this is okay. That's what the Torah says, that God has specified certain types of certain places and certain images in the Beis HaMikdash that are okay, and outside of that everything is forbidden. You can't. Okay, so then there's a question, well, can you make up a place? Can you let's say maybe God has now located Himself in a certain area, in another area. Can a person do that? Well, that was like an ancient belief in Klal Yisrael, that just like non-Jews would have iconography, they would by consecrating an idol to that certain god, that the presence of that god would be inside that idol. So the Jewish people in the old during the first temple period thought they could do that with God. That's why there was bamot and things like that. That they thought they could, by consecrating an altar to God, that they could have the same effect as in the Beis HaMikdash. God said no, He won't give His presence in such a place. So the biblical basic idea of all of this is connected with the biblical of two really different ideas, but the idea of idolatry, in other words, other beings besides, spiritual beings besides God. Obviously the Bible is filled up with other beings that are spiritual besides God, Bnei Elohim, Rephaim, Sirim, Malachim, Michael. You can see this clearly by what the Chazal say about worshipping Michael. Chazal believed that that Michael was an angel, a good angel, that spoke up for Klal Yisrael when we needed it. But you can't worship him. It's a avodah zarah, making it right, or make an image of him or something. So that's the same thing. What God says is okay, which is a very limited number of things. You have a Beis Hamikdash, you have a nowadays we have a you know, a yeshiva you can go in and learn Torah. That's a place where God is in a certain nice way, sort of, there's a certain kedusha that's, maybe you could say, is like located there or something, but besides basic things that either the Torah says or the Talmud says specifically, you really can't consecrate something to God and expect God to dwell there. That would be the basic difference. Okay, well, thank you.